Welcome everybody to today's episode of the Conscious Grief series. I am very, very honored to be here with Irene Voulvalides, who is the Vice President of Helping Parents Heal, and Elizabeth Boisson, who is the President and Founder of Helping Parents Heal. Thank you very, very much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thanks for having us.
I like to sort of start the interviews by asking what your definition of grief is.
Irene, would you like to go ahead and give a definition?
Sure. I think grief is the response to loss. It's someone's response to loss. It doesn't always have to do with death because, there are many losses in our life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I believe that grief is the journey that we travel when we have a loved one who's passed. And I also believe that grief involves the work that we do to honor that person who has passed as well. And I never thought that I would even imagine what the definition was, but it's something that is both happy and sad.
Thank you, ladies. And you have this really inspiring and incredible community, as I introduced, Helping Parents Heal. So I was wondering if you could share with the audience what led you to this work that you do. Who would like to go first?
Go ahead, Elizabeth. You're the co-founder of this amazing group.
Well, my son passed at the base camp of Mount Everest in Tibet in 2009. And when he passed, I felt him hug me. My daughter had already passed when she was 2 days old in France. She was born and then only survived for 2 days. And so after she passed, I felt like I had 1 foot here and 1 foot on the other side. And then when Morgan passed in Tibet and I felt that hug, I had never thought about the afterlife before. I had never even needed to. So besides the fact that I already felt connected to Chelsea, but when he passed, I realized that he was still here with me, first of all. I also felt that he shared in everything that I did every day. And I wanted to connect with other parents who were in the same situation and who were feeling the same thing. And so basically that's the reason that Helping Parents Heal started, although I'm not the founder, I'm the co-founder, as well as the fact that I think that getting started on this journey led to so many other things and so many wonderful people that I've met since, including Irene. And I'd love for her to give her answer as well.
Yeah.
I found Helping Parents Heal about a year after my daughter passed. My 24-year-old daughter passed in 2013 from a very rare cancer. And it sent me, of course, like all of us, in a spiral of grief. But I knew that the love that Carly and I had for each other couldn't die, that only her body could die. And I went on a spiritual quest to find her, to connect with her. Mm-hmm. And in reading Dr. Eben Alexander's book, Proof of Heaven, I found out about the Eternia website, which then led me to finding Helping Parents Heal, which literally saved my life and changed my life. It's just the most amazing organization.
And then how long after was it that you decided to start working with one another?
After I met Elizabeth in 2014, and in 2015, my husband and I were relocating to South Carolina from New Jersey, and Elizabeth encouraged me to start a chapter of Helping Parents Heal, which I did. And it was just an amazing thing to do, to be able to connect with other people. And about a year after that, I had been to a couple of conferences and said to Elizabeth, why don't we have a conference? That would be wonderful. And she kindly said, do you have any idea what it takes to put on a conference, Irene? But she encouraged and supported me, and together with a few other parents, and of course, with the help of our children, we put together an amazing conference in 2018.
So perhaps you could, because you're saying you have the help of your children, if you could share a little bit more about your connection to your children's spirit.
Well, for me, it was something that was immediate, but I was very fortunate because I think that a lot of parents don't necessarily experience that right away. I think that I had that connection with Morgan immediately for a reason, and that was that I needed to start this group so that other people could know about this. But as I said, I actually, to explain a little bit more about the connection that I feel, he was with a group of students and he was at the base camp of Mount Everest, and he started having migraines. He went to bed early. The next morning, he got up in the middle of the night and he was wandering around the yurt where all of the kids were staying. It's kind of like a tent that was there at the base camp. And the next morning at 9 a.m, they tried to wake him up, and he was foaming at the mouth and they couldn't do so. And so one of the kids called his mother, and his mother, who's a doctor in Washington State, said, get him down the mountain as quickly as possible. And so the kids loaded this wonderful boy who was 6'6" and he was 280 pounds. So he was very big. There were 13 of them onto the bus. They started down the mountain, and at that time, the director of the program called me and said that they were rushing Morgan to a hospital. And I asked for the phone number of his roommate, and I called his roommate, who I'd never spoken to before, and Colin told me, Miss Boisson, it doesn't look good. He's not breathing, and we have taken him off the bus to go do CPR on him, but none of the kids really knew how to do CPR. And so I told him, please put the phone up to his ear. And when he did, I told Morgan that we loved him, that we were proud of him, and not to be afraid. And right when I did that, I felt him hug me, and it was incredible. I was here in Cave Creek, Arizona, so I was thousands of miles away from him, but I knew it was Morgan. And in fact, I was not crying. I was not upset, which is just amazing because Morgan was our world. And my husband was sitting next to me in the office, and he said, let me speak to him, because he didn't see that this horrific event had just happened. And I said, I'm sorry, I think that he's no longer with us. And so for me to be able to feel that hug was something that was probably one of the most defining moments of my life. And being able to let other parents know that when we transition, it's not the end, is something that's so wonderful for me to be able to do now.
For me, once I had my first reading with a medium, there was no question in my mind that I was connected with Carly. There was evidence that came through that, if you knew me, if you Googled my name, you would never know. It were things that were, you couldn't dispute them. And I knew then that she was with me, watching me always. And in the beginning, I was in such deep grief. If there were signs, I wouldn't be able to feel them. But I get signs from Carly all the time. So I'm very connected.
What sort of signs does she sense?
We connect through music. The song Somewhere Over the Rainbow was very special to us. And I get a thought in my head to turn on the radio or turn on Pandora radio, and the song will play almost immediately.
And I wonder if, if there's anybody watching this who has lost a child, how can they connect with you and helping parents heal?
Just go to our website. It's www.helpingparentsheal.org. And we have lots of YouTube videos from afterlife experts as well as grief experts. We also have a group of caring listeners who are parents who have gone just a little bit further down the road to healing and who reach a hand back to help others forward. They're completely volunteer, completely free of charge. Everything that we do is free of charge. We also have affiliate groups that are throughout the world. So we have them here in the States, in Canada, in the UK, in South Africa, in India, and in Australia and New Zealand. So there are maybe an affiliate group that's closer, but we also have special interest affiliate groups. For instance, we have Helping Fathers Heal, and we have Helping Siblings Heal. So as well as a lot of others that are completely online. Irene and I hold meetings almost it used to be every night of the week for the weekdays, not the weekends. Now we're cutting down just a little bit, but during the pandemic, it was really necessary for us to be able to reach out to parents and to have all of these experts speak. But those videos, there's over 200 of them, are on the website. We have a Facebook group, we are on Twitter, and we're on Instagram as well. So all of those places, if you just search for Helping Parents Heal, you're able to find it.
It really is incredible how much you've done in such a short space of time and how far reaching you are around the world. And I know, how would you respond to that?
Irene?
I think that there's a need for support groups.
Yeah.
And we've found, especially during the pandemic, even more so, people are so isolated, and people tend to get isolated in their grief. And when they find us, we're different than other support groups. We talk about spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non-dogmatic way. So who doesn't want to talk about their children, talk about signs they receive from their children, and to be able to connect with other parents?
I know, I think it's so magical. And I know that when we spoke on the phone the first time, you said that it's also like really because you've got this help from your children on the other side that are really sort of inspiring you and guiding you to do the work that you do, which is...
Well, there are a lot of bereavement groups, but we're one of the only groups that really talks about a connection with our children on the other side. And I think that it's really important to healing to be able to know that you're connected with your loved one in spirit, whether it be a child or a spouse or anyone that might have passed, a sister. It's just such it's such an amazing journey to be able to learn about all of this, because it's something that was new to both Irene and to myself. I never even thought about what happens when we die or when we transition, as we say now, before Morgan passed, although of course I had already dealt with it. It was a very different thing when Chelsea passed, as to how I healed and how I moved forward. I didn't really talk about it. I didn't really do much because I was so busy raising Morgan and then raising my two daughters who came after Morgan. But it is very, very healing to be able to know that not only are all of our kids connected to us, but they're all friends in the afterlife. They're all getting together and having a great time together. So
Yeah.
we love being able to talk about that with our members as well.
And do you feel that people are becoming more open? Because obviously you're saying you're quite niche in that you're focusing on the afterlife. Do you think more people are sort of opening up to this now, whereas there was a lot of cynicism or disbelief before? Do you think there's a shift?
I think there is a shift, but I also think that like-minded people find each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's more about it. And you can get a lot more information. I mean, the internet has provided a great service for everyone. And I also just wanted to mention language, because that's something that Elizabeth and I really work on, the language in grief. You know, we say transition, we don't say died. Obviously, their physical body has died, but their soul, their spirit is alive. We don't like the term bereaved. You know, it has such heaviness to it, and to be attached to that, you know, we call ourselves shining light parents. So, you know, there's things that we do differently, and as people become familiar with us, it catches on. It seems to work.
And
We
the
feel,
angel dates as well.
oh
Yes.
yes, angel date is really important, but we do feel that shining light is a much better term, and we feel really grateful to Suzanne Giesman for coming up with that term through a meditation, because we didn't want to be called bereaved. I think that bereaved is the saddest word in the dictionary, and so it is, you know, and it doesn't mean that we are happy all the time. What we believe with the term shining light is that that our kids shine through us, and that they help us to move forward and help others as well, which is something that we really feel is important, is being able to reach out. And as I said, with the caring listeners, to reach a hand back and to help others forward is part of being a shining light parent.
Yeah, I love the terminology. It's a very positive and uplifting, and that's why you're so inspirational in what you are doing, because a lot of people would just, they would just think, how can you carry on? And obviously most of us have a strength within us that gets us through the most difficult times, but to really embrace your grief and feel it, and then, like you're saying, you've connected with your children who are on the other side, and now you're sharing that with so many people across the globe. And I know that you have a Silver Linings page on your website. So would you be open to sharing a bit about your own personal silver linings?
I would love to. I think that one of the things that came immediately was that I do not fear death in the slightest. That's something that all of us feel. Obviously, I don't want to transition early because I feel like I have a lot of work to do here. We believe that our kids are home and that we're still in school and that we do have work to do, and that's why we are here. But I don't feel death and feel any fear of death. And because of that, I feel that we can live more fearlessly. And I think that that's something that's very important. I have a friend who is a caring listener and an affiliate leader. And before her son passed, she was always worried about getting cancer or, you know, things that might happen to her kids or, you know, all different kinds of fears. But now that this has happened to her son, she lives completely without fear. And I think that that's so important for us to be able to live in the moment and to appreciate every single day and not to be worried about what tomorrow is going to bring. And knowing that this is not it and that we have a life review when we transition. So I think that Irene and I both feel like every day we're working to make that life review better, trying to add things to that life review that will make our kids proud, but also will make us feel good when we do transition.
Thank you.
I mean, I'd like to add, obviously, fear of death. I think all of us, that's no longer a fear. If our children can transition and they can be there, well, you know, bring it on when it's time to come. But yes, I believe that we still do have work to do. I think my silver lining, I always thought of myself as a compassionate person, but I don't think I really knew the definition of compassion until Carly passed. And I also feel so connected. I feel tapped in. I feel, you know, connected to the universe, to other parents, and getting to know all of these amazing, amazing people, and also getting to know their children.
Yeah.
I think that Irene and I both feel that the most exciting moment of our existence will be the day that we can hug each one of these kids when we transition, because we all feel, all of us who help in Helping Parents Heal feel like we know each one of these kids personally. And so she's right, compassion as well, just being able to be a part of this enormous group of parents who are not actually just parents, they're like family to us, every single one of them.
And how do you sort of come together with the parents? You do meetings daily, or you do seminars? How does it work?
Well, initially, both Irene and I were holding meetings monthly. That's the way that our affiliate leaders do, no matter what type of group it is. Helping Fathers Heal actually meets weekly. We have another one, which is Spiritual Tools for Healing Grief, that meets weekly as well. There are some that meet more frequently, but normally it's something that was a monthly thing, and it was in person. And we can't do that right now. So we've been meeting lots and lots of times by Zoom. And Irene and I try to be on as many meetings as possible. But if not, we have at least one meeting going on every single day. And many times we have up to 5 meetings that are going on per day that are available to parents all over the world, because you can dial in and be on those Zoom meetings. Once the pandemic is over, and we hope that happens sometime soon, we'll probably continue having these Zoom meetings as much as possible, because there are people who come to meetings in Phoenix, for instance, who live in South Africa, or in London and in Canada, and it's wonderful to have those people, and to stop and not be able to do that would be a shame. So I think that we'll continue having as many Zoom meetings as possible. What do you think, Irene?
Yes, definitely. And also, Elizabeth every day on Facebook posts all of the kids that have birthdays and angel dates every day of the week. So we all connect through those dates and get in touch with the parents, sometimes, just by comments on Facebook. And also, just by reaching out, I also host a weekly chat with another mom for Helping Parents Heal, and it gives everyone a voice, and that's what these meetings do. That's how we get to know each other, get to know our kids, and to be able to connect and to talk.
I know. I think being in community is just incredible what it can do, isn't it? Sorry, Elizabeth, I interrupted. Go ahead.
No, not at all. I was going to say, I forgot to say earlier, we have a monthly newsletter that I put out every month. So last week was the newsletter. And the really great thing about that is that I ask parents to send in stories about their connection with their kids. And we have some of the most amazing stories in that newsletter, and it inspires me. And we also have information about our affiliate groups. We have information about upcoming speakers, about different books that have come out that we think are helpful to parents as well. So anyway, that's another way that we stay in communication with our parents.
It's amazing. It really is incredible how much you do, and how many different ways that people can stay connected through what you do. I just wondered on the connection theme, how do you find, is there a specific way that you connect with your children, or is it kind of quite random?
I think for me it's random, but I can call on Carly and I can usually get some type of a sign to know that she's present. It's a learning process. Once we realize that they're not somewhere else, they're right here. They're right here with us always. They're just vibrating at a different frequency. So learning to tap into that frequency. And I will ask her questions all the time. I talk to her all the time. And I'm pretty happy with the answers that I receive.
I feel like with Morgan, in the beginning, when I was obviously having a hard time in the very beginning of my grief, whenever I started to feel sad, he would hug me, and I could feel that hug so clearly. And he sends really big signs for his birthday when he turned 30. I was hiking, and I hike a lot here, and he was a cheerleader at the University of Arizona, and their mascot is a wildcat. And I was in the wildlife preserve, and my husband and I came upon a wildcat on that day. And I knew it was Morgan who sent the wildcat to us, but this wildcat didn't want to leave us alone. It came up within 6 feet of us, and it let us take all of these pictures of it. And I knew it was Morgan. I mean, I don't see very many wildcats back there. Lately, we've been seeing a lot more wildcats just recently, but at that time, it was the first one I'd seen ever back there. And so I knew it was from Morgan. And he does things with his truck. He had a red Toyota Tacoma. And so when I know that he's around, I usually see 3 of them in a row. And I'll say, okay, Morgan, this is the first one. I need the answer to this question. So if I see 2 more, I'll know that I have to do something special. And I always get those 3 trucks. So it's interesting. I think that you have to kind of work it out with your child as to how they're going to communicate. I think that Carly has settled on Over the Rainbow, as well as a lot of other ways that she does. Morgan does different things, but it all depends on the personality of the kids and what's special to them and to you as well.
Yeah, I know. It's making me think about the connection with my parents. You know, there's definitely been things over the years, but I haven't been sort of so much consciously trying to connect with them. And through doing this series of interviews, it's making me think more about, you know, asking them. I'm terrible at asking for help anyway. So it'd be good for me to ask for more help from
Sure.
them.
What do you have to lose, right?
Exactly.
Asking is the most important part of being able to receive. And it's very hard to ask, but not only from our kids, but also from your guides. It's impossible for them to do anything unless you do ask. So make sure that you're asking. And it's amazing how your life changes once you have asked. But
I
yeah,
do feel that they're helping me with this series. You know, I just have to keep remembering, like, I need something else. Yeah. I was connecting with them a lot to begin with, and then as time's gone on, I keep getting. So thank you for reminding me of that. And it's just great for other people to hear, because sometimes you're not noticing things, are you? And it's only when you've heard people like yourself talking about the signs, and it makes us all become more aware of what's happening. So thank you for that. And lastly, I wanted to ask you what you think of when you hear the term conscious grief.
Oh, it's okay if I say something, Liz?
yes, please do.
You know, it's such an interesting concept, because I believe that grief is something we need to experience. It's not something we have to get through. I don't believe in stages of grief. And I think a conscious griever makes a choice and participates with the grief. Grief can be a great teacher. You know, grief taught me about gratitude. It taught me how to connect with my loved ones. If we're aware and we're conscious, we can experience it, as opposed to getting through it.
I love that answer, Irene. Thank you.
I think it's important that we all move through our grief in a conscious and enlightened way. And Irene read 80 books the first year that Carly passed. I know that I read probably the same number. being able to find out about all of this. And as I say, being enlightened about this and understanding it instead of being a victim. I think that one of the things that has made it so that both Irene and myself are not victims is that we have learned as much as we can about this journey, and we're trying to transmit this knowledge to everyone that joins us on the journey. And everyone has the power of being in control of this difficult journey that actually can be magical, because there's a lot of collateral beauty along the way. I love that movie with Will Smith, and I think that really explains our journey well, the term collateral beauty, because we get so much beauty every day.
Yeah. And, Tara, I believe that we have a choice. We didn't have a choice when our children left this earth, but we have a choice every day. What are we going to do with our day? And there might be people that choose to stay sad and stay grieving their entire life. And I know that that's not what I want. And I know that's not what Carly wants for me.
Yeah. Yes. Anything else before we wrap up?
Well, I think it's beautiful what Irene said. And I think that it's important for everyone to understand that any loved one who has passed does not want us to stay sad. They want us to experience joy again. They want us to move forward and heal. And they love watching us doing the things that we're doing. They want to be able to say, that's my mom, that's my dad. They want to be able to be proud of us and to talk to their friends, their new friends, about us. And so every time that I think Irene wakes up, every time that I wake up, I feel so grateful to be able to know that we're going to be able to help someone else today. And I ask the kids what we're supposed to be doing. And it's true, I post those birthdays, I post those angel dates every day, but I feel them almost pushing me out of bed in the morning because they're excited about it too. So I feel like Irene and I have, we have a lot of help from the other side. And I think that we all do, but both of us really recognize it. And I feel grateful that we do, and that we understand that we have this help, and it's available to everyone.
Yeah, I think there's so many messages of hope from both of you, and that you really have found so much joy and so much connection through helping parents heal. That's what it really feels like when I speak to you. We were all joking that we by coincidence wore black today. And as if you've been watching this series of interviews, this is like, I think, the second time I've worn black. And we were saying how we like to wear bright colors to project that, that yes, it's this really heavy subject, and yes, there's a lot of pain, and yes, there's a lot of sadness, but then you create these incredible connections with other people who've been through similar things, and that life, becomes a deeper experience. And like you say, you become so grateful for things that perhaps you didn't sort of think of before, and more courageous in our journey. So there are many, many gifts of grief as well. Well, ladies, this brings us to conclusion. I'm just so grateful for both of you and everything that you're doing, and for joining me today. So thank you again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. It was really a pleasure.